get our first live period is April 17th, 2 weeks
Oh.
away.
Oh, yeah.
So we got to practice out of town this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Really just trying to really dot a few I's and
Cross few
cross a
T's.
few T's,
Yeah.
man. That's it. Got some injuries. You know, I wish the live period was kind of pushed back because the regional track meets are right during that time
Right.
too. So there's a lot of kids gonna miss, and so it's just trying to balance all that prom and all that stuff.
And it's crazy because it didn't live period of like so many years ago used to be starting in March, somewhere in that area, like middle or the end.
Actually, it was early April.
It's always been early April.
Kind of early April.
That's right.
March at
That's
some point in time.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So, but still, I mean, it's I think the college coaches are complaining because they wanted to push back the portal, and because now the portal's only 15 days,
Yeah.
and if your coach left, you have an extra 15 days. So,
Right.
it's just a lot going on. So we got about 4 kids in the portal right now, and so a couple of them have got some good traction.
Mm-hmm.
So just trying to really lock in a place where they can find a home.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah. Shoot.
1,200 kids, over 1,200 kids in the portal.
Was it not Texas, but Tennessee lost their entire roster.
Yeah, the Tennessee situation was, I think the players got together and said, you know what, she doesn't deserve us, and they just the recruits decommitted.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's just been
It's
a
unfortunate.
bad year for her.
It's unfortunate.
And she could have. She knows better than that. Senior night, she played the kid 15 minutes in the fourth, and 15 seconds in the fourth.
Wow.
All her parents were there. All her family was there.
Yeah, you got and even if she's not somebody who plays a lot, she's more of a role player. Let's say, or somebody a practice player, right? You got to give her some minutes. That first, you got to find
quarter,
first
man.
quarter, give her some, let her get her feet wet and stuff.
Right.
And I mean, she's a college player, so it's not like she's going to hurt you that bad, right? But hopefully she grows as a coach. Sometimes it takes really bad things to happen for some people to realize, like, damn, I was wrong. I need to do better.
Yeah.
Because with everybody leaving, that's her problem.
That sends a message. Yeah, it does. It does. And so I don't want her to lose her job.
I think that's gonna happen, man. I mean, I don't want her to, but when you lose your entire roster and you had all of these things that happen throughout the season, right? Now look,
It's bad.
Texas, he's losing, I think, three to four top players, and then I want to say, okay, no, somebody was decommitting from South Carolina to go to Texas, probably because they figured they were going to get more burn, right? But that's not as bad. He made Final Four. It's not as bad. He's not losing his. But when you lose your entire roster, you think about the Virginia coach who got fired, and then there was an investigation that it was culture issues going on in there, and it's like, I'm not saying kids need to be coddled. You can coach hard and be, and love them and do it the right way. So I don't know what went on in Virginia, but it had to be some bad things for her to lose her job after making the tournament.
Yeah. For me, I think it's a balance. You're trying to build culture. I think overall society is super sensitive now.
Yeah.
You almost have to find creative ways to be honest with people now, because everything's taken so personal. And so I think that's a parental, and I think people are really hesitant to hold players accountable.
Yeah.
And so I had a situation in practice where, we're talking about some defensive principles. And so I said, hey, have you guys And I've got some kids on my team from high schools that are pretty solid on defense. So, I was kind of alarmed, like, no, we hadn't heard that before. I'm like, excuse me? I said, well, I went on to say, like, and I'm not gonna name the high schools, but I went on to say, hey, look, well, how do they teach this? They tell us where to be in position. Well, that's the same thing.
Right.
I said, so you guys are choosing not to do it. Everybody wants to blame high school coaches for not teaching this and this and that. I said, you guys are just choosing not to do it.
Yeah.
Just because it's different terminology,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean it's not being taught.
Right.
So kudos to all the high school coaches here in town in El Paso, the kids that I have. Just let you know I'm holding them accountable, especially in regards to what they've been taught in high school.
Right.
And so, because it just translates to us, it may be a different term, a different way of doing it.
Right.
But I was really upset. I was hot. I was really hot.
Well, we've seen him get hot over here, so we can just imagine him getting hot in his practices.
It's a little different. It's a little different.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah. So, high school coaches, thank you. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you. You guys don't really get enough of that, and I'm here to say, I'm not a kiss up type guy, but what's happening needs to be said, and so thank you all. I appreciate it.
Yeah, shout out. All right, so we're gonna have to tag that and put it in the social media universe so the coaches can see.
I mean, it's important because from trainers to high school coaches to even college coaches and club coaches, like, if kid doesn't perform or you lose a game, the coach is trash.
Yeah.
The kid does well, they win the game, it's the kids. So we got to start supporting each other a little bit better than we're doing.
Right.
And so I try to make it a point to do that.
Right.